What's going on, y'all? Brandon from Vegas. Welcome back to Won't You Be My Neighbor. As always, we're here with my co-host, Mr. Bill Gaylord. Yeah, Bill. We got to get you like a Bill Nye, the Science Guy thing, like, Bill, like that. But we don't want to get copyrighted.
Yeah, okay.
So, welcome back to Real Estate 101, a.k.a. Won't You Be My Neighbor, where we teach you guys the very basics and fundamentals of real estate. The reason I have Bill in is because he's a mortgage lender, so we want to get it from both sides, right? We want to get it from the real estate side, and we also want to get it from the mortgage side because we're a tag team, both in the escrow and on the podcast, right? Yep. So how's your day going, Bill?
It's going awesome. Already started. Lots of people calling, people getting pre-approved.
Yeah, man. It's been hot. The Vegas market is hot. We've all those people who've been renting here for the past few years, I feel like they're ready to dive in, explore the market.
I think when the pandemic hit, or when interest rates, I should say, started to go up last year, everybody said, I'm not buying right now. Yeah. Rates are going up. Values, I'm going to wait till they come down. Yeah. And now, a year later, all the leases are coming due. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I don't want to rent anymore. I better go buy. So I think that's what's happening.
I feel like interest rate is like gas. Remember when gas at the end of last year or middle of last year shot up to like $5 a gallon, and everyone was like, "This is crazy! I'm gonna ride my bike." And then after a month, they were like, "Yeah, I guess we're just gonna pay $5 for gas." Right?
They get used to
it. This is how human beings are, right? A big change comes, we freak out, we panic, blah blah blah. Social media, things are the worst. And then after like 6 months, we just take it. Yeah. We just take it. We do that with everything.
You just accept it.
We just accept it, yeah. Because eventually, and this is why real estate is so interesting, it forces you to make a decision. Because in real estate, no one gets to live for free. No. That's like the motto that I run. No one gets to live for free. I mean, the homeless do, but now we're going to get ourselves in trouble, right? Because they can get a little bit of trouble with that. But no one gets to live for free. You're either renting somewhere or you're paying to live somewhere. But there's no in between. You're either having your own mortgage or somebody else's mortgage.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And the first time they raise your rent $150, that interest rate hike doesn't seem so bad.
No.
So I think that's where we're sitting at right now. And the big topic for today is basically equity part 2. Last week we discussed what equity is at its core. It's just the difference between what you paid for your house and what your house is worth. Right at the core, you paid $280 for the house. The house is now worth $300,000. You got $20,000 equity, right?
Correct.
But I want to focus on today is how to gain equity quickly and the difference between a good interest rate and good equity. Right. So a lot of people don't know on your contract. The average buyer comes up, right, and what's the first thing they say? I want to save $30,000 off this house, and I tell them, whoa. I thought you were focused on getting a lower payment. I am. Then why do you want $30,000 off the house? Well, because that's how I get a lower payment. I said, dude, if you take $30,000 off the house, we're going to save you what, 50, 60 bucks?
It's not a lot.
Right?
Not a lot.
No, no, because you do this professionally, right?
Yep.
So if I took $10,000 off the list price of a house right now with the current interest rates, what are we looking at in terms of a mortgage drop for every $10,000? Just a rough estimate.
Well, I'm going to give you a little calculator out. And we're going to do that. So $10,000, and we'll do that. We'll go 30, and we'll go 7, and the payment $66.
$66. So if I save you $20,000 off the list price of the house, we'll save you what, $120?
Yep.
$120, right? And I always tell people, okay, well, if you take that same amount of money and put it to the closing costs and just buy your rate down, probably save you more money in the long run.
Totally.
In the long run.
Yep.
When you're taking money off the list price, you're aiming for equity. Yes. You're aiming for equity. They don't, they watch the TV shows and they go, oh, I saw some guy on HGTV got the house for $50,000 less. Yeah, buddy, he's not doing that for the mortgage rate. He's doing it for the equity.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Because, and perfect example, house you and I just closed on. Me and Bill close houses, by the way, in case you guys don't know. We're good at this. House we just closed on, right? Got the house for $640.
Yep.
House was listed for $650.
Yes.
So we got $10,000 off. It appraised for what, Bill?
It appraised for, I believe it was $680.
$680.
And can I say about you, the master negotiator? Boom. You also, not only $640 was a sale price, but you got $20,000 in seller paid closing costs.
Yes, sir.
So the effective price on that, what is that? 620. Is that what I'm going to say?
100%.
Yeah.
But in terms of making that person equity, the 20,000 we got them, that was just to help them with their interest rate, right?
Yes.
We want to put the 20,000 to buy down the rate.
Correct.
The fact that it appraised over means they got the best of both worlds. Not only did they get their interest rate lower, but now they're walking into equity, right?
Yes.
And this is the big thing. This is the big push of why I tell people it's never a bad time to buy houses.
Never. And the other great thing about that is they did a 5% down payment, right? You got them extra equity like that.
Yes, sir.
So when the rates do drop, right, they're going to be able to maybe even eliminate mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
And they'll get a lower mortgage insurance rate when they do go refinance when rates come down. So, I mean, that equity is huge.
Yeah. Speaking on that, and this is something I want to follow up on because a lot of people don't know this, you can use the equity you've built in your house to help you refinance or even adjust your loan, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's all based on loan to value.
Yeah.
What we look at in terms of if you're at a 20% equity position, meaning it's an 80% loan to value. So it's a loan amount divided by value.
Sure.
Is the loan to value, and the difference is the equity amount.
Sure. I think the easiest, 100K is my favorite number to use just because it's the easiest one for people to understand, right? If you bought a $100,000 house, you would need $20,000 invested into that house, 20% or the 80-20, loan to value.
Correct.
To have it as an investment property or to eliminate mortgage insurance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you take it to a $400,000 house, now we're looking at $80,000, right? And you escalate from there.
Yes.
But instead of putting 20% down, like the escrow we have right here, they put 5% down. Correct. And now they need 15% in equity. Correct. Well, thanks to the deal we did, they're almost at.
Immediately.
They're almost at, right?
Yeah.
So now when the rates drop, refinancing with 20% is going to be incredibly easy for them.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is why it's never a bad time to buy a house. If you buy when the interest rates are low, sure, you're not going to gain as much equity. That's the truth. When you buy when the interest rates are low, you're buying at the peak of the market, which means you're probably not walking into equity. You're probably paying $20,000 more than the last guy, but your rates are low.
The rates are low. But I will say, if they bought like 3-4 years ago, rates were low and the values were low too.
Oh my God.
So they benefited both ways. And I get calls all the time like, hey, Bill, how do I eliminate my mortgage insurance? I bought 3 years ago. I said, well, let's look at your equity.
Yeah.
Because they may have a 3% interest rate.
What's the biggest one you've seen so far from your perspective? Because you see a lot more loans on the back end than I do, right? What's the biggest equity you've seen so far from someone who bought 3 to 4 years ago to now?
Well, I just got one the other day. They bought it for $220,000.
Okay, they bought the house for $220,000.
They got an interest rate at that time of 2.25.
2.25 on $220,000.
Yeah.
So what's their mortgage payment? Like $800?
It's not much. it's pretty good. And the value is now 3 years later $360,000.
So they bought for $220,000 and it's worth $360,000. Was the condo, townhome?
It was actually a house.
They got a house for $220,000?
Yeah.
God dang, good for them. So they made $140,000 in less than 4 years
on that small of an amount. So
that's nuts.
The percentage increase on that house, amazing.
Yeah.
And so they just were like, well, I bought it with mortgage insurance. How do I eliminate my mortgage insurance? It's like, call your servicer, call the mortgage company you make your payment to, and ask them, I want to remove my mortgage insurance. And they'll more than likely just say, I want to get an appraisal on that just to make sure that you have the 20% equity. You get an appraisal on it, and the servicer will
What do
drop
appraisals typically cost nowadays when you're calling it in for a situation like that?
Appraisals vary, but it's going to be probably between $500 and $750.
$500 and $750 for an appraisal.
Which is too much, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, the market's hot. Appraisals are going to keep raising the cost. Yeah. So in that situation, they bought the house for $220,000, right? And I like to use these numbers, especially when it's a rounder number like $220,000. So they bought the house for $220,000, right? Their interest rate was like 2.25, right? So they needed 20% equity in that house, so $44,000. They're up $140,000.
Yes.
So they have enough money to not only refinance whatever loan they want to, right? Completely get rid of mortgage insurance. They're going to lower their payment by another couple $100,
correct,
right? But now they own that house as an investment property if they want to.
Correct. If they ever wanted to move and buy a different house, they could easily rent that, cover their mortgage and more, and potentially even take out a home equity loan
You're getting
to utilize. Yeah. Am I getting ahead of you?
No. That's where I wanted you to go. I was trying to like lead you there. Hit them, slam these like they say in the NBA. Put it in their face. You got to dunk on them. Yeah, you got to dunk on them. This person bought a house for $220.
Yes.
And in 3 years, they can A, refinance their entire mortgage and turn it into an investment property, and B,
well, they don't need to refinance. They can keep the existing mortgage that they have right now and pull out a home equity loan to take the equity that they've just built up and buy a bigger house.
Oh, so they already had a conventional loan.
They already had a conventional loan.
Okay. Yep. So they have enough money to put it towards the conventional loan to eliminate their mortgage insurance.
Correct.
And have enough left to take out a HELOC and buy another property.
Correct.
So in 3 years, they went from one $220,000 property to an investment property and enough money for a second property.
Correct.
In 3 years.
Yes. Yep.
That's crazy.
And it makes sense too, because a lot of people, they buy that home and they're going, oh gosh, this is going to be the best home for me. It's going to be a life home.
Yeah.
And then they get in there and they go, God, well, we could use a little bit bigger home. So then they can go buy a different home using that equity and then do it again. I like it, the 2-year rule. If you stay in that home for 2 years, you do have the benefit of the capital gains.
There we go.
Exemption.
There we go.
And then you have some flexibility and some options to either keep that house another 3 years or keep it long-term for an investment. But if you keep it for 2 years, you're in it for 2 years as your primary residence, and then you sell it within 5, capital gains is up to $500,000 gain, and that is tax-free.
That's beautiful.
If you're married. That's $250 if you're single.
If you're single. Thanks for putting that out there, because in Vegas, we have some very unique rules on if you're married or not, right? So if you're single, it's $250.
$250. If
you're married, $500,000, right? It doubles.
Yeah.
Look at that. We just gave people in Las Vegas a reason to get married.
Yes.
Look at that.
$500,000 sex. So I don't know. I could go on all day, because a lot of people having monies invested in a 401k.
Yeah.
And, you can leverage real estate by utilizing some of that 401k.
Sure.
And if you have appreciation, the capital gains, you're not paying any interest on it. You're not paying taxes on that.
Bill, you are the master of creating our next episode, using your 401k to pay off real estate, right? Because what you're looking at in that situation is how much money is my 401k generating over time versus how much money would I generate in real estate if I put that in there.
Correct.
Which leads us perfectly into my facts of the day. You ready for this? I'm going to start trying to include at least 1 to 2 facts of the day. So we'll get like a little screener like Brandon from Vegas. Facts of the day, right? Something like that, Austin. Does that work? Facts of the day, right? Something real like Ford commercial, right? Like a Ford, like a Toyota Tundra commercial.
I love those.
So are you ready for the facts of the day?
I'm ready.
Right? 1, the average length of time people spend in the house has gone from 3 to 5 years to 5 to 8 years. Okay. First fact of the day. What do you think about that?
I think people are staying in their house longer. For a couple of reasons, but I definitely staying longer.
Sure. I think, what do you think the reasons are?
Well, I think the reasons are potentially that, for a while there, it was lower because it was easier to get financing. Sure. Now you have to, it's a little bit harder to get financing. And then number 2, they're stuck in their house now with a 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, 4% rate.
There we go. That's the one.
I'm not going to move. I got a great rate right now.
Yeah.
Why would I move?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, that's going to be a part of one of our future episodes of why the next buyer's market is going to be so crazy, because you have a bunch of people who don't want to sell their homes and then a bunch of people who want homes. It's going to be insane. The next fact of the day.
Okay.
The average American home. Now, when I say average, I mean, I'm talking the average of Iowa, Mississippi, Nevada, California, all of it put together in one big conglomerate stat. The average American home gains 5 to 6% equity every year over a 5-year period, right? So people think like, oh, that means every year my house goes up 5%. No. Some years your house might go up 15%. The other year it might go up 1 to 2%. But over a 5-year period, American houses are averaging a 25% equity growth, which is insane.
It's crazy.
Because that's factoring in bad areas in cities. That's factoring in states that people aren't looking to move to. Now I don't have the data. Maybe that would be our next factor of the day. But if you isolated nice area, if you just took Summerlin, Green Valley, Southwest Vegas, right? If you isolated good areas of cities and only use places people want to move to, like LA, Vegas, whatever, I'm sure the number's closer to 8 to 10%.
Yeah.
It's insane right now.
It's unbelievable. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but if you took $100,000 and you bought a home, right? And that was a 20% down on a $500,000 home. If you took that $100,000, you're investing in an asset that's worth $500,000. If it makes 5% a year, that's $25,000 of appreciation a year. If you have that $100,000 in a stock or a 401k, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, and you make 10%, which is really amazing return in the stock market, that's $10,000.
Sure.
Right? $25,000 in a house that you get to live in, and that appreciates, versus $10,000 in stocks that you just kind of, oh yeah, it's going up and down.
100%. And I tell people can't rent out your stock.
You can't. No.
You can't be like, hey, do you want to borrow or rent my Amazon stock for a year, right? I mean, that'd be a cool idea, but you can't rent somebody's stock. Where in real estate, oh, hey, I have this investment property. It's a house, right? Yes. It's gaining equity, but I also have a renter inside of it, making me additional $100, $200 a month on top of that.
Well, you're getting that, and they're buying down your mortgage every single month, and there's a lot of great things.
I think this is why we're seeing so many hedge funds. Man, look at you. You are a master. You are a master of creating topics. I'm telling you, man. Whenever you say, I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm like, yes, go on. I'm like Smeagol after the ring. My precious, please go on, Bill. So that's a whole discussion of why hedge funds are taking their money out of the stock market and putting it in the real estate market. It's just a safer
It's a
bet.
return.
It's just a safer return, right? Well, I hope we learned everybody something today, man. And I feel like I learned something every time I sit down with you, because you start going into HELOCs and what to do with the money and where to put the money. And I feel like it's a blessing every time. Bill, can you please tell the people where to find you, how to reach you?
You can reach me at 858-776-6830 or to go to billgaylord.com.
The man's the best in the business. There's a reason why I have him on the show every week. As always, guys, I'm Brandon from Vegas. You guys know where to find me. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you like the real estate information. Leave a comment in the YouTube. We're going to start answering all you guys' questions right here on YouTube. And as always, come and be my neighbor. Thanks, guys.
Bye.